Welcome back to Pork Chops, Rice, and Peaches. My name is Noah.
I'm Richard.
And today we will be discussing why we think Rogue One is the best Star Wars movie.
And you can't change our minds.
Yes, you did hear that right. Rogue One is the best Star Wars movie. Better than Empire.
Better than Jedi.
Better than Revenge of the Sith.
Better than any of the first three. Better than the last three movies. 7, 8, and 9.
Leagues above the sequel trilogy.
Okay.
Don't know if I'd put it above this little guy, though. Yeah, that's a great way to start this episode.
There we... How did you do this?
I just stuck them on in, didn't I?
There we go.
Fantastic. Alright. Well, we're 2 minutes in, technically, and
we've already destroyed the
set.
All right.
I think that's going to be a record. Alright. So, unlike our last video might have implied, yes, we do actually enjoy things such as Rogue One.
Such as Rogue One.
Just one of those movies you and I went to go see in theaters, and we both came out satisfied. I came out very satisfied with this movie.
I came out rather excited about the movie.
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's still a Star Wars movie. Upon reviewing this movie last week in preparation for today, I realized that I liked the movie more for what it was not as opposed to what it was.
Yeah.
Because it is a Star Wars movie, and so as a Star Wars movie, it is subject to the same problems that most Star Wars movies have.
It's cheesy, it's got repetitive lines, which you get mad over the repetitive, like, punch it! You know, you hate those lines.
One of the things that I liked about this is I don't remember hearing anyone say, "I am not a committee." I do not remember anyone uttering the line "delusions of grandeur." Those lines are nails on a chalkboard for me.
Yeah.
There was one reference to one of those must-have Star Wars lines. I've got a bad
feeling about it.
And they cut them off.
They cut it off.
Right? Which is...
They do say punch it at one point in the movie. But that's such a quick little one-off that doesn't... Those things never really bother me. I never noticed the committee lines. Like, I know they exist, but I don't notice it. I've never actually once sat down and heard it and then been like, oh, they said the thing! They did the thing! When they say, I'm not a committee, or...
I remember writing a letter to, I believe it was Timothy Zahn, this is going back several decades, complaining about some of the things he put in one of his books, and he said that there are some lines that the fans just expect to find. And I
kind of Easter eggs.
I hate it. Yeah,
kind of Easter eggs. It's like a Stan Lee cameo in a Marvel movie. All right. Well, I think for this, let's just get started with tell us what you thought of the movie, especially upon second review. I'll give my side, and then we'll look at the two major criticisms that I've seen online of this movie.
So, what I like about the movie is that it's not Princess Leia, Han Solo, C-3PO, R2-D2, although they do make a cameo.
Yeah, they have to be in every Star Wars movie,
right?
Quote unquote, right now. I don't think they're in Solo, although I still haven't seen Solo all the way through, so I'm not sure.
I didn't last 5 minutes into Solo.
We're going to have to talk about that one, too.
Oh,
yeah.
You're going to force me to watch it, aren't you?
Probably.
Okay.
Or I'll blame it on them. You're going to force him to watch it.
I'll get a six-pack for that thing. It was a fresh story. It was not the saga, beginning, middle and end of this one family...
destroying the rest of the galaxy for everyone else.
The rebellion is huge, and we got to see a snapshot of another part of the rebellion.
Yep.
I like the fact that this movie did not have the happy ever-ending ticker tape parade, everyone's a hero.
Yeah.
It had two people realizing they won the battle, but personally they lost the war. They're on their knees hugging each other.
Yeah.
The fact that there wasn't a love story.
Yes.
These two people, there was no gratuitous kissing. There was no we secretly are attracted to each other. These were two human beings clinging to each other
for a moment of comfort.
At the very end of something that was going to massively suck.
Yeah.
So I appreciated that a great deal. The things, in retrospect, what I didn't like, I absolutely hate this idea of computer graphic recreation of dead people.
Oh yeah,
this creeps me out. It is uncomfortable to watch, and it's completely unnecessary. If you can recast Mon Mothma, with a lookalike,
you can recast Grand Moff Tarkin.
Well, and Guy Henry was so good as Governor Tarkin. Why not just put him in the uniform, show his own face,
use a little bit of makeup?
Well, don't even try and make him look like Peter Cushing.
Okay.
Just have someone walk up and say, Grand Moff Tarkin. Boom, you've established who he is, and then you let that man do his job. Now, his voice impersonation of Cushing was phenomenal.
I don't know if that was edited at all. It probably was a little.
I don't know. But I would rather see that than seeing the dead actors brought back to life. And so here's the thing that
they could have done it with. I think they used Carrie Fisher's daughter as the body double.
No.
Scene.
Well, unless she has a different last name.
She does.
I looked it up.
Yeah, her daughter has a last name. She keeps making cameos in the sequel trilogy without any actual voice lines. It's weird.
So the thing about the dead actors that bothers me the most, besides it being creepy, it's unnatural. Let the dead stay dead, right?
Yeah.
Their faces, especially Tarkin's, look like an animated corpse.
Yeah.
Have you ever gone to a funeral and the body has too much makeup on it and it just looks unnatural?
Imagine if it started talking.
Right, exactly, and that's exactly it. So you'll appreciate this. When Monroe looked at Nick Burkhart and Grimm and said, a Vessin can tell a Grimm by looking in their eyes. They see infinite darkness. It's the eyes. You cannot animate life into eyes. And it's the life in the actor's eyes that help bring that character alive.
Yeah.
And when you animate Tarkin and you animate Princess Leia, you can't really put life in their eyes.
The eyes are the one thing that doesn't really work with the rest of it. I wonder how many people got that reference.
I have no idea.
Many of you have seen Grimm. I'm really curious.
I knew you would like that reference.
That was a really good first 4 seasons of a show.
So, because I'm not a regular moviegoer and I'm not a regular television watcher, there's a lot of actors that come on screen. I don't know who they are, and so they're fresh faces, they're fresh performances, and I truly appreciate that. I had no clue who Felicity Jones was, right?
Yeah.
And so there's this new actor. I had no idea who Diego Luna was. I enjoyed Ben Mendelsohn, who played Krennic.
Man, I'll get to Krennic later.
Alistair Petrie as the rebel general, who was a bit of a bastard, but he kind of had to be, considering what they were doing. And his character I really liked, because you saw that not everybody in the rebellion was clean and wholesome, right?
This movie, and I'll get into this later, made a point that The Last Jedi tried to make with 2 seconds of dialogue, and it did it so much better through character, through showing you, instead of trying to tell you.
Yes.
And we'll get into that in a second. But
and so Wen Jiang, I have to call him out as being just absolutely refreshing and delightful to watch. I have a bias against certain actors, and there were 3 in this movie that I just don't particularly enjoy watching. One is Mads Mikkelsen, Donnie Yen, and Jimmy Smits.
Okay.
Now, I thoroughly enjoyed Donnie Yen when he was doing the Ip Man movies, when he is in his element. I find both Mikkelsen and Smits to be very two-dimensional. They're stiff in front of the camera. They don't really have the depth of characterization. And the minute
they have roles that they play well. Mikkelsen, you saw him in Doctor Strange. It was kind of this very good two-dimensional villain that just is easy for main characters to bounce off.
Yes,
he does a very good job at that, and I've seen him in some video game stuff. He's good in that role, but he's kind of typecast. So I think they tried to cast him out of his element. So because he's trying to be this sympathetic father figure, And it just doesn't work.
You don't that connection on screen with the child actor playing his daughter, with Felicity Jones playing his adult daughter. I mean, you just didn't see it. Some people have the chemistry, and that one didn't work. I saw Donnie Yen and I thought, oh no, we're going to have a martial arts sequence where he takes a bow staff and he knocks around stormtroopers, and how stinking lousy is stormtrooper armor if a blind man with a stick can beat them up.
Okay, but yeah, that's some of the best, like, 30 seconds of the entire movie. It's not the best 30 seconds of the entire movie, which we'll get to, but
you're
some of the best 30 seconds.
You're biased towards stunt acting.
It's so cool! It's so cool. Plus, come on.
Okay.
They do make a point in several sources now of pointing out how flawed Stormtrooper armor was.
Yes,
like,
they have.
mass-produced it, and they gave him, like, this cheap plasti armor. Plastisteel, I think is what it's called in lore.
The repetition of I'm one with the Force is with me, I'm one with the Force is with me.
Yeah.
First of all, I asked the question, who are you trying to convince? The audience or yourself? Right?
Yeah.
It is representative of the fact that a lot of the movie is rushed.
Yes.
And because it's rushed, things are very awkward. And what we don't get to see is we don't get to see how deep into the Force this man is.
Yeah.
Right? Like an Obi-Wan Kenobi, where you really get the idea that he's there, or Yoda. But different movie. He didn't have 9 reels to tell a story. He had, 20 minutes of screen time. So, but all in all, those criticisms aside, it was just a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
It was a good story. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It wasn't all the tripe that Star Wars has become.
Yeah.
When you're looking at the main storyline of Luke, Han, Leia, Lando,
the successors,
right?
Yeah. It ties into that story. It very much enhances the overall story, I think.
Yeah.
Of Star Wars, because it's a world building movie. I think a lot of people were expecting more of a mainline movie, and this movie does tie into a pretty crucial main event in the timeline of Star Wars. Obviously, without these characters, Luke would not have been able to figure out how to take the shot, the 1 in a million shot that destroys the Death Star. So, I mean, it has a significance overall in the story, although, people have made the comment that this movie was born of one throwaway line in the first Star Wars movie. A lot of good people died to get us this information. So, I mean, that's basically the premise for this movie. Is a lot of good people died. But, yeah, this movie it's a very good world-building movie. Overall, there's a lot of material in this movie that I think it might have confused a lot of casual moviegoers who don't watch Clone Wars, who don't watch Rebels, who don't watch The Mandalorian or any of these spin-off things, because it brings up kyber crystals.
Yes.
And it explains the concept that lightsabers are powered by kyber crystals. So even if you knew that lightsabers had crystals in them, you might not have known that they're kyber crystals. And it's been a fact in canon for a long time that Emperor Palpatine was harnessing kyber crystals for the Death Star. That was the basis behind the Death Star's weapon, was the use of kyber crystals. So you get to see them mining the kyber crystals and using them in the Death Star. So I mean, it's very good world building overall, and it shows that there's more locations than just Tatooine. Like, okay, yes, they did use a desert planet. Yes, they did use a desert planet. It was called Jeddah, which is the most uncreative name ever. But it wasn't Tatooine, and it had unique landscapes to it. Like, it had a city on top of a giant rock. It had giant toppled-over statues of ancient Jedi. It had different scenery from Mos Eisley, from Mos Espa. It didn't look like freaking, what's the one in Force Awakens? Jakku. Jakku it literally looks like Tatooine. Like, everyone was looking at this planet and thinking, oh, we found Rey on Tatooine. And they're like, no, it's Jakku, guys. It's totally different. I actually believe Jeddah is a completely different planet from Tatooine. just because
Jakku sounds like something your doctor cures with penicillin. You have a bad case of Jakku.
Oh, thank you.
You know,
That's a good description of that movie in general.
Nicely done.
Thank you.
Well played. We hinted at this last week when we were talking about the Thor movies, in because of the Marvel Cinematic Universe in Star Wars. We are eventually going to have the discussion about the nature of movie watching has changed.
Yes.
Something that I'm fighting tooth and nail, but I can't avoid the fact that it's there because there's so much canon outside of the movies. And you mentioned that the casual moviegoer might be confused. Yes, because there is so much canon, and if you're not at least peripherally tied into it, you're not going to understand a lot of these references. However, the question is, does the movie stand on its own with a beginning, a middle, and an end? Does it tell a story? It does. And of course, you haven't mentioned it yet, and I know that you will tee off from here, but the finale. The finale of this movie.
Oh, man. Yeah, so yes, the first half of this does have pacing issues. A lot of pacing issues with Saw Gerrera. Although on a second viewing, you look at it, and there was a lot of information they had to get out in a very short time span.
Yes,
Jyn Erso's connection to Saw Gerrera, who's a great cameo character to throw in for those of us who watch Clone Wars and Rebels, just to see how he ends. It's very nice to see the outside canon get acknowledged by the main Star Wars movies.
Yes, it is.
Even if he's a little off, I'm not sure they were completely sure how to utilize him.
Saw was far better as a cartoon character, right?
Yeah.
And I don't.
Ironically, he was far more animated, and that's nothing against the actor. I think it's against the direction.
I was just about to say, Forrest Whitaker did the best he could with what he was given, but he was a tool. He wasn't a character.
Yeah, I believe it's Saw. As someone who's seen all of Saw's story, I believe it's Saw.
Yes.
It's just, it's different. But I could definitely see it as like an old, tired Saw Gerrera. But that was a fun little thing. Again, real quick, cinematically, this movie is incredibly shot. I mean, it has a level of Disney polish to it. Like, the term Blizzard polish has been coined for video games because Blizzard is a company that does a really good job at finishing their product, making it look pretty.
Okay.
Disney polish is a term that I don't know if it's coined yet, and if so, I'm calling it now. That's mine.
Copywritten.
Can't take
no,
that.
Right.
This level of Disney polish, you expect it on everything. It's going to look good, but not only graphically and the landscaping is just incredible, but some of these shots, these establishing shots. There's a shot. It's so creative. It's like there's a Star Destroyer hidden in the shadow of the Death Star, and it's slowly coming out of the shadows. It looks like a city is moving out of it.
Yes.
It's like, this is the stuff. It looks straight out of the original trilogy, but it's the type of thing they couldn't do with that level of technology. It just is incredible. The creativity in this movie with the use of spaceships and the elements at play, it's all believable. It's not a holdo maneuver.
A what?
Holdo maneuver. The purple-haired admiral from Last Jedi, where she light speeds through a ship that everyone was freaking out about because it broke Star Wars canon. It's like, well, why don't you have hyperspace torpedoes? Which is a perfectly valid question. Oh no, it's a 1 in a million chance of it working. And JJ, thanks for that retcon. It's everything that they play around with within the rules that have been established. It fits within. Everything's believable. Ships crashing into each other. The Corvette maneuver where the hammerhead.
Oh yes,
boom,
yes.
It's like it hits into the Star Destroyer and it decapitates another Star Destroyer. It's like, that's so cool. And I believe that this would be a hard maneuver to pull off because you'd have to get a ship that close to an enemy Star Destroyer.
Sure.
Which I think they said they disabled, so it works in the movie. It's like their shields are down, you can go ahead, get in there, their guns are something. It's believable because it's a hard maneuver to pull off, but They had an opportunity and they took it, and it works with the physics.
The old sailor in me is coming out. I saw that scene and I said to myself, "Wait a minute!
It's zero gravity.
It takes
zero gravity. This isn't water. This isn't water squid.
It takes 4 tugboats to move an aircraft carrier.
A Star Destroyer has no weight in space. It has no weight in space. If you've got the ability to propel yourself forward, which a spaceship does, it works, sir. It works. There's no air resistance. There's nothing stopping it. The only thing that can stop it is a equal
force from the other direction. Yeah, I got
it. Works. The inner space geek in me is coming out because that is just like boom, So yes, the creativity in the usage of these elements that we've seen in Star Wars, they're just doing new things.
I loved the planet-wide shield. I loved the single entry to the planet-wide shield, and the fact that you have to break that. And ultimately crashing a ship
into it is the coolest way. Instead of this is pod racing from the inside, like in episode 1.
Don't get me going.
So. And then
painful segment of that movie.
I know. And then you get the beach scene down below, and it feels like a war movie.
Yes,
it feels like if you tried to recreate a Normandy beach storming scene in Star Wars without being insulting.
Yes.
It was so good.
It was so fresh.
It was so fresh to see this because it's not a Jedi whizzing through a crowd of enemy troopers with a lightsaber blocking everything. It's boots on the ground grunts getting their hands dirty, running through the water, falling in the sand, blowing up enemies. It's so good. Everything about that beach storming scene works. Stunt-wise, as someone who's hypercritical of fight scenes now, as an aspiring stunt actor, I'll mention this again. Everything was pleasing to watch. It's so creative overall, and that's something that I can really give this movie. I think it's like the best thing I can say about this movie. It's fresh and creative.
Yes, it is.
It really is.
Yes, it is. It was wonderful to watch.
We can't talk about Rogue One without finishing off with the best scene, hands down. Not just in this movie, but I think it's one of the best scenes in the entire saga. I wouldn't put it higher than like Duel of Fates. The fight scene from episode 1. Mm-hmm. I still, for the raw talent that was used in that, I think that's better, and I think Obi-Wan and Anakin's still good, but this scene is still one of the best sequences in all of Star Wars.
We have been treated through the Clone Wars of seeing Jedi at their finest. And we have seen the talent and the skill of both Obi-Wan and Anakin. But we have never been treated to a on-fire, full-force, live-action Darth Vader ass-kicking. And it was incredible. If it was 60 seconds longer, I'd have enjoyed it even more.
Man. Oh, jeez. Think back, okay, because you and I saw this movie at the same time in theaters, okay? And you're seeing it, and you're seeing all this stuff. You get his cameo. You and I think we kind of groaned at first when when Darth Vader first came into the movie, makes his first appearance.
Yes.
Because we were like, they had to get the Darth Vader cameo.
I was afraid of it.
I was,
Okay.
Well, then you're not expecting this sequence. You're not expecting it.
No.
And it's like, you got all these rebels scrambling, and you're like, oh yeah, shit, they gotta get it out of here. They gotta go, boom, get out of here, hyperspace, light speed away, get Leia to safety. And then the lights go out, they're trapped all of a sudden, and then you hear the breathing.
I know.
And that's all it took.
I know.
And I lean back in my seat, and I go, no. And you can feel the entire theater, the tension builds. You can cut it with a dull butter knife. It's so thick, and everyone's just leaning back going, no.
Are they going to do this?
And then the lightsaber ignites, and the entire room is glowing red, and you can feel the terror of those soldiers.
The one guy,
the one dude who's
with the card,
freaking out,
the one guy with the card who's running, and he's looking over his shoulder,
freaking out.
You know he knows the end is coming, and his terror.
And the first guy in that shot is quivering. He is open fire, and you get the best lightsaber sequence out of Darth Vader ever.
Yes.
And it is what you expect Darth Vader to be. Peak Darth Vader to look like. This is the Vader we have been, like, people have been seeing through the comics and through all the expanded material. Like, there's shots from the comics that are supposed to be him facing off against armies, legions, and people going, "You're surrounded!" And he's like, "All I'm surrounded by is fear and dead men." I got that. That raw power of that line with no dialogue from Vader in a way that only a movie can portray.
Well, you have to look past a couple of things. We've been waiting to see this Vader for a long time.
Oh, so long.
And I would like to see a Vader standalone movie. I don't understand why. I think it's because we like Anakin so much and the tragedy of Anakin falling, but we enjoy seeing Darth Vader being successful at what he does, right? And a Darth Vader standalone movie would be really fun to watch.
It would be incredibly fun to watch.
Having said that, 2 months later in the storyline, Darth Vader goes up against Obi-Wan, and Darth Vader has aged 80 years in that process because he's stiff and he doesn't move well. Yeah. And in theory, he should have just annihilated Obi-Wan. But
you gotta suspend your disbelief. This is just
you do.
Unfortunately,
yes, you do.
It does cause the problem that you have to suspend your disbelief.
Well,
because otherwise, because when the Star Wars came out, when Episode 4 came out, you had nothing to gauge this by.
Exactly.
You were so amazed by the fact that the swords glowed.
Yes, well, yes, we were. We were.
You were there!
So, I was there. Star Wars, when it came out, was so groundbreaking, it was so revolutionary, the special effects were so good that I was shocked the first time I heard critics ripping the script when I read that Alec Guinness turned down the role the first time because the script was so lousy. Yeah. We were so blown away by what was being presented to us. The fighting in Return of the Jedi a whole lot better because Lucas brought in,
and even if it had been
professionals to train them.
Even if it had been that level of fighting in Episode 4, I think it would blend a whole lot better.
Yes, but they didn't bring the whole levitating things, throwing them at it until movie 2, and,
just throwing a dude into the ceiling and not even paying attention as an afterthought, just cut you down.
Yeah, I know. So
that's something that George Lucas would have been having wet dreams about back in the 70s. Just,
I hope your children didn't hear that. Have fun explaining it to them.
Berkeley, breathe, book in the background. Don't get me started.
So, I hope they make more of them. I hope that we never revisit the storyline of the Skywalker family again. I would love to. I think we're done with Han Solo. Let's be done with Lando Calrissian. Let's explore other stories, other storylines. I would like to see the early 1,000 years
High Republic era,
some of the better Jedi Sith battles. I would like to see the movies focus a little more on characterization. I love what we were treated to with the development of Obi-Wan Kenobi, both through the movies and through the Clone Wars. He was wonderful. And the tenderness that he showed Darth Maul when he finally killed him. I mean, it's like the cartoons are doing better work than the live-action movies. And I would like to see more of that in the Star Wars universe. But if they trade characterization for action, which is my big complaint about most major movies, it was the downfall of the Harry Potter movies. Was trading action and wand waving for characterization. The Star Wars movies will be really good if they do that
well,
properly.
I think with Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau at the head of Lucasfilm, which hopefully we'll get soon. Hopefully, because if we can get people like those guys in charge of the projects, I don't even think Filoni really wants to be head of Lucasfilm. I think he wants, like, he should just have a creative hand. He should be kind of an executive producer to help oversee, like the Kevin Feige of Star Wars. He needs to be the Kevin Feige of Star Wars because this man has passion and cares about it, and I know he had influence on this movie.
He needs to be the boots on the ground driving force, not the executive behind a desk, because he'll become Kathleen Kennedy.
Yeah.
And we don't want that.
We don't want that.
So yes, and you know, you mentioned slow pacing in the beginning of Rogue One. If you look at Mandalorian, the pacing is very slow. But oh man, are those good stories! And
so much fun to watch.
The characterization is there.
And we are at the time of this recording, about 12 days, so a little over a week out from season 2.
Excellent.
Yes. And we will be doing probably a season 2 at the end of season 2. We'll probably do a retrospective. I think we should do a retro. So look out for that video coming up. Shameless shill. So with that, I personally think Rogue One is the best movie in the Star Wars timeline right now. Not necessarily because it's the best. It's not the, I wouldn't say it's the best acted or the best, part of the Skywalker saga. I think it's the best because it's such a good world building, atmosphere building.
It's fresh, it's different,
Yep.
it's well done. It's not the good guys don't always win.
Yeah.
You know?
It's not a safe Disney movie. It's a let's kill off the main characters. End it.
All of them.
All of them.
Did any of the main characters survive? I don't think so. No?
None of the main cast. The only people who had a significant role in this movie who made it out are Darth Vader and Grand Moff Tarkin. That's it.
On Mon Mothma.
And Mon Mothma. Yeah. Okay.
All the people on Yavin survived.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. And with that, Rogue One is the best Star Wars movie, and you can't change my mind.
I agree.
All right. And we'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Tell us what you thought. Do you think Rogue One is an amazing movie, or do you think the crappy characters bring it down a little bit? Your words, not mine. Let us know in the comments below. We'd love to have that discussion with you.
Thanks for tuning in.
Bye-bye. Berkeley Breathe is a kid's book? What?
Okay, maybe he's not a kid's book.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I have no idea how to
print some of the shit that Penguin gets into. I don't think that's I wouldn't say that's necessarily family friendly.
Okay.
That should be the intro right there.